Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome. It's always a pleasure to meet somebody new. Today, as the title would suggest, I have a new Genre Makers episode for you. What is this I hear no one in particular asking? Well, simply put, this is where I go into games that defined or redefined their genre. They aren't necessarily the ones that started the genre itself, but either popularized it or added something unique to it that redefined how we think about it. Now, they could have even just popularized it to the point that it became something bigger in game culture. And today is no different, because today I'm going to go into the world of MMOs, and in particular, World of Warcraft. So, to do that, we're going to talk a little bit about early Blizzard, games that came out around the time that may have gotten them into the genre, and how their own design techniques and ability to have their finger on the pulse of pop culture helped them truly popularize the MMO genre into the powerhouse it became for a very, very long time. So if you have a minute, sit back, maybe grab a snack and drink, and hang out for a few minutes as we go into one of the giants in the MMO space with World of Warcraft. Now, early Blizzard was a much different beast than what we know today, and honestly, the company itself really hasn't been around that long. In fact, their history really only goes back to 1991. As a small company founded by three guys fresh out of college: Michael Morhaime, Alan Adheim, and Frank Pierce. Heck, it wasn't even Blizzard at this time, it was Silicon and Synapse. They would start out doing ports of games like Battle Chess before moving on to their own games like Rock and Roll Racing, Blackthorn, and The Lost Vikings. Now, none of these games stand out as hits. Well, they do and they don't. But their bigger ones were about to come out around the corner, with their first entry into the RTS genre known only as Warcraft. This was one of their first larger hits, selling around 300,000 units and solidifying the company's finances. This prompted them to make an even more popular series of sequels, becoming one of the defining developers in the RTS space with Warcraft and StarCraft. Blizzard quickly made a name for developing quality games, often delaying releases months and even years to make sure that the game balance and the feel of the game was just how they wanted it before it hit the store shelves. Oftentimes gamers would ask, "Gee, I wonder when when StarCraft is coming out." And then they'd laugh and go, "Oh, on Blizzard time." That's just how things worked. This eye for detail and quality gained them a reputation among gamers. This had almost everyone pretty much immediately drawn to anything that they were going to put out. And Blizzard themselves were good at looking for new and upcoming genres that they felt that they could approach and handle well. So it was they began to notice in games like EverQuest, which launched in 1999, and Final Fantasy, which launched in 2002, Final Fantasy XI that is, gaining a lot of popularity in the PC gaming space. However, the interface and gameplay in these games was complicated and sometimes, more often than not, punishing. Blizzard was well known not only for making approachable versions of games that were often challenging, but making them entertaining with their own developers putting their own jokes and commentary on pop culture of the time. They thought they could do the same for the MMO genre and make a version that not only celebrated one of their more popular series in history, but drastically simplifying and demystifying the MMO genre as a whole. To their credit, that's exactly what they did, launching the game in 2004 to a large amount of acclaim. The way it seemed to continue off the story of the original games, the way the combat felt faster and more interactive than previous MMOs, even how fast the player could recover outside of combat was a breath of fresh air for many a gamer. The other big change was probably one of the most meaningful for getting gamers to try the game was the lessened punishment for dying. You see, in many games before this, you lost a significant amount of experience when you died post level 30 or some determinate level. You could even de-level in the game, which meant players often kept two suits of armor, one for the previous level, one for the current level, especially at max level. This and Blizzard's reputation skyrocketed WoW, as players called it, to the top of the MMO charts, having it at its height of popularity over 100 million accounts, and at one point, over 10 million active subs. The MMO game was in full force, and before too long, many options were coming out trying to take a part of Blizzard's fanbase and offering more varied art styles, more in-depth combat, and sometimes easier combat depending on the game. A few notable ones that most would know being Old Republic, which focused around the early days of the Republic and Star Wars, and Final Fantasy XIV, which is now only second to World of Warcraft in popularity and gaining steam by the day. However, there's no denying the allure and influence World of Warcraft had at its height. In fact, it was so popular a small group tried to kick off WoW Classic, taking the game back to its base roots. However, they were hit with a cease and desist from Blizzard themselves, who launched WoW Classic alongside their current version, often sometimes getting multiple subs from a player. However, what do you guys think of this one? Were any of you fans of WoW back in the day? Heck, are you fans today? Do you play any MMOs at all, and if so, which ones? Do you have any love of the RTS games or any other Blizzard games? Let me know in the comments. While you're there, if you don't mind, please leave this video a like. Heck, if you see more of my content you like, consider following the channel. That helps me out a ton. Till I see you again though, have a great rest of your day, and happy gaming.